This isn't really a video that anyone should need to make and take it to our local police.
It is actually common, I think, when, doing criminal activities.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck.
So welcome back to another KM Builds video. So as you can see by the title, you kind of get the idea probably what this video is about, but it will become more clear later in the video. This isn't really a video that anyone should need to make after buying a project car, or any car for that matter. Matt's ready at the unit, so I'm just going to head to the unit now, and then we're going to try and explain the scenario we're in as good as possible and try and make everything clear. So just stay tuned and see what the title's really about.
So if you're new to our YouTube channel, or maybe new to our K-Truck series, basically I'm going to set the scene as to how we came to acquire the blue Honda Acti. So in terms of when we purchased the truck, it was back in around September time of last year, and we actually picked up the Honda Acti from quite a legitimate dealer. I think they're quite well known in terms of selling motorcycles and things like that. And we went through the normal sort of process. It came with a HPI check. They provided a receipt. We actually paid on credit card as well, just to protect ourselves 100%. And all of that was absolutely fine. The only red flag we really had was when we checked the MOT history online. In 2017, it went from 70,000 miles down to 30,000 miles. Now, if you were a purist and maybe doing a full restore on it, then this would maybe impact you in terms of purchasing it. For us, we knew we were going to modify it, potentially change the engine, do some stuff, so it didn't really put us off in terms of purchasing it. The other thing we noticed when researching online for different parts and things like that is when we were searching for a 1989 truck, the pictures didn't actually match what our truck looked like. So there's various generations in terms of K-trucks, and the truck that we actually have got, or what matches, is actually an earlier generation.
But there could be a perfectly good answer for that, and that could be due to it being imported. If we use my MX-5 for example, that shows on any car checks as a 2005, when it's obviously not that new because the Mark 1 was finished in 1999. It's actually in 1992, but due to it being imported in 2005 and registered in 2005, as far as the UK database is concerned, it's a 2005, which could be the same issue for this. It could have been imported in 1989, even though it was made in 1986. So we decided to do our own bit of investigation.
So our investigation then led us to the VIN plate. So when Ken stripped the interior for the cleaning video, it actually allowed us to then see the VIN, which is based on the chassis itself. We also had another VIN when we purchased it, which was the metal plate on the, B pillar or pillar of the truck. Now, it is actually common, I think, when, doing criminal activities, that individuals will basically run the plate and an obvious VIN that match off another car that is maybe insured, taxed, MOT'd, so that they obviously don't have to pay for that. And if they do anything in the vehicle, it goes back to an unsuspecting owner. Obviously, this gives us a few red flags and concerns when looking at our VIN and why they didn't match.
So that leads us on to the question of, is our K-truck stolen? The first thing we did was just to double check the logbook, and checking the logbook of BSM, which is technically the truck we own, that comes back with an engine code ending in 288, and it also comes back with a VIN number of 726. However, the engine that's in our chassis does not match that, and the VIN number matches only the plaque on the little plate on the B pillar, which could well have been riveted in place, hence why we think it could be cloned. So now that's out of the way, we thought the best course of action was to try and do some checks on the VIN numbers and all that we already have. So the actual VIN number on the chassis ends in 999. So we then decided to do a car vertical check to try and get the registration. But that only came back with the last 3 digits of the reg ending in MFJ. So bear in mind when you're doing car vertical checks, if you check a VIN, it doesn't actually give you the full reg, which is what we were hoping for, but it did give us a lot of other information. We then went to a trader that we know, as if you do a trader's check, it can get you the full reg from the VIN. So it came back with the full reg. Obviously we're not going to disclose that for obvious reasons. And it also came back with the engine number ending in 918, which matches our chassis and engine. So that would tell us that this reg is actually our reg for our chassis. So we now have plenty of information about the 2 regs and possible 2 vehicles. So now we're going to take basically all this information and take it to our local police and see what they say. But when we did take it to them, they were kind of just as clueless to us really, and couldn't figure out what was going on. But what they could tell us was that the truck was legally registered, it wasn't registered as scrapped, it wasn't stolen. So they had some other ideas.
Yeah, they had, sorry to cut over you. So they had one theory basically that was relating to farm industry, farm vehicles. So the K-Truck is quite commonly used on farms, things like that. And a common practice in that type of industry is basically you will tax, MOT, insure one vehicle, and then you'll use that plate on a number of different cars. So we think somewhere down the lines, potentially this has happened to our K-Truck.
Yeah, so they said it happens all the time, and they see a lot of farm vehicles get pulled over and they're not actually the vehicle they're supposed to be. So on to that, they then basically said that it's not really an issue for them, they're happy, but it's more now a DVLA issue, and said to contact them. So we give them a ring and they had some ideas of what we should do.
Yeah, so when we rung through to the DVLA, they said that because it's, I guess, a specialist part of it, or a specialist team it needs to go to, they said we need to contact the vehicle solutions team, something like that it was, and basically we have to write to them. So everything we've covered in the video from start to finish is basically what we captured in a 3-4 page letter. We also gambled a bit on the fact that we filled out a V62 form and we attached that in with it as well. So we constructed all the letter, put in the £25 for a logbook, and basically sent off the letter, and hopefully in a few weeks, you know, we would get an answer basically.
So while we were waiting to hear back from the DVLA, we managed to pick up this as part of a parts haul. You would have seen that in the last video for those watching the K-Truck series. So we picked this up as kind of a backup in case of emergency, that anything did actually have to happen with this truck. If it was scrapped for some reason, then that would mean that the likelihood is we were going to lose the blue truck. So this was our backup. Also, we didn't want to spend hundreds of hours, pounds and all sorts on the blue truck for it all to disappear. So we thought, get a backup and see what happens.
The good news is the DVLA actually come back, funnily enough, on my birthday, saying that our V62 form had been accepted and that we were the new owners of the blue truck on the correct registration. And then about 2 weeks later after that, we received through the logbook alongside an additional form that said we were no longer the registered owners of BSM.
So that was probably the best scenario we probably could have come out with. There were so many scenarios we ran through, and a lot of them were ending in disaster, like us losing the blue truck. So we're quite lucky that we've fallen off the way we have. So for those of you who have been liking the K-Truck series, drop any comments or feedback. You know, we've got to make a big decision now as to which truck we decide to keep. So let us know what you think. And we'd appreciate if you could drop a subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.